Warriors NRL Fanatics here, back today with a video, and I'm going to get into my NRL tips for round 9. Now normally I do these live on YouTube every week, but today I've decided to do it as a normal video as I do not have a guest to come on and do the tips with me. So let's get into it. It's a big round of footy coming up. There's some tough games to pick. There's some pretty predictable games to pick as well. So let's get into it. So starting off on Thursday the 6th of May sees the South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Melbourne Storm at Stadium Australia in Sydney. That is formerly known as ANZ Stadium. Now the South Sydney Rabbitohs are coming off a good win over the Canberra Raiders last week down there in Canberra, but they did suffer lots and lots of injuries, and this is not a great time to get injuries heading into this game against a very good opposition in the Melbourne Storm. Now the Melbourne Storm, they're coming off a victory over the Cronulla Sharks last week, but a big surprise was they were down at halftime 8-6. I know it was only 8-6, but it was a big surprise there, and in the end though, Melbourne Storm still ran away with it in the second half. So this is going to be a very tough game for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, even though it's the South Sydney Rabbitohs home game in Sydney. And, you know, they'll want to get back at Melbourne after Melbourne Storm beat them earlier in the season down there in Melbourne. So, you know what, I'm going to pick the Melbourne Storm here. I think they'll win, but it'll be a very, very close game. I'm going with the Melbourne Storm by 12 points. Anytime try scorer, I've gone with Nico Hines, Remus Smith, Josh Adokar, Dane Gagai, and Braden Burns. Now, moving on to Friday, the 7th of May, and it's the first game on Friday night, sees the Penrith Panthers, the unbeaten Penrith Panthers, versus the Cronulla Sharks down there at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. Now, the Cronulla Sharks last week were surprising leaders over the Melbourne Storm at half time, but the second half they were annihilated by the Melbourne Storm. And the Penrith Panthers, they're coming off a victory over the Manly Seagulls down there at Bathurst. And, you know, Penrith, they're showing why they're still one of the teams to beat at the moment. They're sitting high and very high on that ladder with 8 wins and no losses. They're yet to lose a game. Now, last season, I thought, you know, Penrith play their best football, and they've proven that, you know, they could still be that top team at the end of the year. But early days, it's only 8 rounds into the season, and you look at what happened last year, Penrith, when they came up against someone like Melbourne in the grand final, the inexperience let them down, and, you know, they couldn't do it on the big stage. But full credit to Penrith, they've proven me wrong. I thought Penrith would drop off in form. I thought they'll still make the 8, but I didn't think they'd be going this well again this year. So, in this game, I don't see Cronulla winning this one. I think Penrith will be way too good here. Penrith Panthers by 30 points. Anytime try scorer, I've gone with Nathan Cleary, Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, Charlie Staines, Matt Burton, and James Fisher-Harris. And I've gone with the Panthers by 30. Now, the second game on Friday night sees the Parramatta Eels versus the Sydney Roosters at Bankwest Stadium down there in Parramatta. Now, this is a massive opportunity for the Parramatta Eels. Now, surprisingly, they're sitting in second spot on the ladder at the moment. The Sydney Roosters, they're coming off a win last week, but they've picked up a lot of injuries. And this is going to be very, very tough for the Sydney Roosters, but you'd never write them off. You know, the team that they are, you never write them off at all. Now, the Parramatta Eels, to me, haven't been convincing, but they're getting the wins in the end. They're getting the wins, and they're sitting where they are sitting at the moment, which is full credit to them. But if they want to show they're contenders at the end of the year, they've got to beat someone like the Sydney Roosters, even though they're at under strength. The Sydney Roosters do welcome back James Tedesco. That's a huge boost for them. But I think this game will still be very, very close. I'm going with the Parramatta Eels, but I will not be surprised if the Sydney Roosters pull off an upset here. I've gone with the Parramatta Eels at home by 6 points. My anytime try scorer, I've gone with Daniel Tupou, Joseph Manu, Dylan Brown, and Marcus Sevo. Now, Saturday the 8th of May sees the sees the Raiders versus the Newcastle Knights at McDonald's Park. Sorry about that long pause. I was just looking for the note. Now, the Canberra Raiders have been very, very disappointing lately, and I don't know what's going on with the Canberra Raiders. You know, I had them to make the top 4 at the start of the season. Big shock there. Big shock that they're currently at the moment not even inside that top 8. It's a long way to go, but this doesn't look promising for the Canberra Raiders at the moment. And there's a bit of news as well in regards to Josh Hodgson. He stepped down as the Canberra Raiders captain. So apparently the Raiders, you know, they're trying to keep Josh Hodgson and he could be leaving. But I'm not sure if that rumour is true. But it's a big concern for Canberra at the moment. And they're on a losing streak right now. And they really need to start picking up some wins before it gets too late. As for the Newcastle Knights, they've been a little bit disappointing as well. But, you know, with Newcastle, it's come to expect a little bit up and down at times, Newcastle Knights. So this is a game where the Canberra Raiders, you know, they have to win this game. If they don't win this game, Canberra, you know, they'll fall further behind the teams in the top 8. So I think Canberra will win this. They'll finally break that losing streak. And I think Canberra will win by 16 points. But with not much confidence whatsoever, I've gone with the Canberra Raiders by 16. And my anytime try scorers, I've gone with Kalen Ponga, Curtis Scott, George Williams, and Jordan Rapana. But I would not be surprised if Newcastle pulled off a win here. So I've gone with the Raiders by 16. Now, the next game sees the West Tigers versus the Gold Coast Titans down there at Campbelltown Stadium. Look, the West Tigers surprised me last week. I did not expect them to beat the Dragons down there at the Dragons' home stadium at Australia Jubilee Stadium. The Gold Coast Titans, they've been very, very inconsistent. A lot of people had the Gold Coast Titans making the finals this year. I know it's only early days, but I'm prepared to say this. The Gold Coast Titans, in my opinion, I think they, you know, I don't see them making the top 8. Now, in this game, I think the West Tigers will win this one, and I would not be surprised if they win this in a very close one. I think the Gold Coast will definitely run it close. I've gone the West Tigers by 10. My anytime try scorers, I've gone with Dane Laurie, David Nofaluma, Anthony Don, and Brian Kelly. The next game sees the Queensland Derby. It's the big Queensland Derby up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. It's Cowboys, North Queensland Cowboys versus the Brisbane Broncos. Now, I found this game very, very hard to tip. Very, very hard to tip. If you look at the Cowboys last week, the second half was better, but the first half, you know, they let the Warriors get off to a good start. And, you know, the Brisbane Broncos, they got a big win last week, which was a huge surprise. I did not expect Brisbane to win last week. Now, I'm going to tip an upset here. I think the Brisbane Broncos can get up. I'm going with the Brisbane Broncos here by 4, but with not much confidence because this game was a very hard game to tip. But I'm going with the Brisbane Broncos by 4. Now, Sunday the 9th of May sees the Manly Seagulls versus the New Zealand Warriors at Lottoland. This is Tommy Trbojevich's 100th NRL game, so he finally gets achieved that landmark against the Warriors. Now, the Warriors last week coming off a win over the Cowboys. The Manly Seagulls, they're coming off a loss to the Penrith Panthers. No easy task, but Manly, they definitely showed a lot of good effort there. They weren't too disappointing. And the Warriors, you know, had a very good first half, but the second half, you know, they'll need to improve on that going into this game. But I did a preview with Paddy G on the channel last night, so if you want to see a full-on preview of the Warriors-Manly Seagulls game, go back and check out the channel for that preview. But I'm going to say it here, and I'm going to tip the Warriors by 8. And anytime try scorer, I've gone with Adam Pompey, Ken Mamalo, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to score tries. Now, the last game on Sunday to round out round 9 sees the St George Illawarra Dragons versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs at Australia Jubilee Stadium. Now, it's a very tough one to call this one as well. It's another tough game to pick. The Dragons, now, last week were very disappointing against the Tigers. You know, they were favourites to win that game. I thought they would win it rather comfortably, but the Tigers surprised me and they won. The Bulldogs, you know, not much you can say about the Bulldogs, but I'm just going to say it. I think the Dragons will win, and I think they'll win it by 14. But I will not be surprised if the Bulldogs pulled off an upset here. But I've gone with the Dragons by 14 points. So my tips are for round 9. Here they are. They are the Melbourne Storm by 12, the Penrith Panthers by 30 points, the Parramatta Eels by 6, the Canberra Raiders by 16, the West Tigers by 10, the Brisbane Broncos in an upset victory over the Cowboys down there at North Queensland Stadium. I've gone with the Broncos by 4, the Warriors by 8 over the Manly Seagulls down there at Lottoland, which is Brookvale Oval. And I've gone with the Dragons over the Bulldogs by 14 points. So those are my tips for the NRL round 9. Let me know in the comment section below. What are your tips for the games this week? And don't forget also to hit that subscribe button on the channel. The channel's at 491 subscribers. So let's get to 500 subscribers in the next. And also don't forget to hit that like button on the video as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys for another video, which will be my review of the New Zealand Warriors versus the Manly Seagulls game on Sunday afternoon.